Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Osasu Show. According to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, more than 13 million children are out of school in Nigeria. Poverty, limited access to educational facilities, gender and religious stereotypes, insecurity, and many other factors have been identified by the fund as some of the reasons behind this alarming figure. In April 2014, as most of you will recall, insurgent group Boko Haram orchestrated a high-profile kidnap operation, the first of its kind at the time, abducting 276 female students from the government girls' secondary school in Chibok, Borno State. This redefined kidnapping and abduction for ransom in Nigeria. Most recently, an increase in the abduction of school children from elementary to tertiary level is posing a huge threat to learning in the nation's northern region, with the most recent being an abduction of about 140 students in Cardona, northwest Nigeria. An exponential increase in the nation's already alarming figure of out-of-school children is imminent. On this episode of the Osasu Show, we examine the increasing trend in the abduction of school children and possible solutions to tackling the problem. Don't go anywhere, it promises to be a very enlightening episode.
On April 14, 2014, 276 female students aged 16 to 18 years were kidnapped by terrorist group Boko Haram from the government girls' secondary school, Chibok in Borno State. This abduction redefined kidnapping in the country and will go on to set precedents for a string of school-related abductions, making students targets. Barely 4 years after the attack on Chibok, the insurgents took their onslaught to Yobe, another state in the troubled northeast region, where 110 students were kidnapped in Government Girls Science Technical College, Dapchi, on the 19th of February 2018. On the 11th of December 2020, bandits took 303 students of Government Science Secondary School, Kankara, Katsina State, into captivity. On the 19th of December 2020, barely 2 days after the kidnapped Kankara students were released, some gunmen abducted more than 80 Islamic school students from Dandume in the same Katsina state. This time, the pupils were quickly rescued by security forces after a fierce gun battle, according to the police. Seeming like an end to the abduction was in sight, on the 17th of February 2021, gunmen invaded the Government Science College, Kangara, Shiroro local government in Niger State, kidnapping 41 persons yet again. On the 26th of February 2021, 10 days after the bandits raided Kagara, gunmen kidnapped 317 schoolgirls from the Government Girls Science Secondary School in Jangebe, Zamfara State. On March 11, 2021, gunmen attacked Federal College of Forestry Mechanization, Afaka, in Igabi, Kaduna State, and kidnapped 39 students just weeks after a similar attack in Jangebe, Zamfara State. April 20, 2021. At least 20 students and 2 staffs were kidnapped from Greenfield University in Kasarami Village, Chikun local government area, Kaduna State. May 30, 2021. An armed gang abducted dozens of students from an Islamic school in Niger State. On June 17, 2021, a mass of heavily armed bandits struck the federal government college Birnin Yari in Kebbi State. And very recently, on July 6th, no fewer than 140 students at a Bethel Baptist High School in Kaduna were kidnapped and are yet to be released. This is the timeline of abductions which have characterized Nigeria's education system for the past 7 years. What then is behind the series of student abductions, especially in Nigeria's northern region?
I think this trend has been building up for a while in Nigeria. The industrialization that happened in northern Nigeria, some estimate even suggested in Kano alone, we have up to 5,000 companies. In Kaduna, we have up to 1,500 companies. Out of all these things, you have many of those companies are textile manufacturing companies that employ so many people. You know, between 1980 to 1985, after the deindustrialization started happening, there are estimates that shows about 350,000 jobs that is lost due to this kind of deindustrialization. So a situation whereby you deny people the means of livelihood. I'm not trying to give excuse for what they are. You deny people the like kind of livelihood, they may try to explore options. That is why even the global system suggested two approach to everything. Either you are a hawkish or you are a dovish. Either you allow people to make money or you let them into crime. So a situation whereby people are growing, the demand for resources is getting higher, many things is getting scarcer, and the political arrangement of Nigeria is centered at a certain place, like in Abuja, where the farther you are from Abuja, the poorer you are. Then it becomes a problem simply because the resources are not reaching down, policies are not reaching down, people are not getting engaged. They try to go into crime. And unfortunately for us, the political leadership decided to follow a very shallow kind of approach to solution by giving them money, some of them, and some of them grandstanding, I'm killing you. So when you take this thing, none of them is going to solve the problem. At the end of the day, if you say you are going to kill them, they will dare you by kidnapping more, or if you give them money, they will arm themselves and come and kidnap more.
It has become an accumulation of neglect, an accumulation of unaccountable leadership that has led people to believe that they have to survive. And let me tell you this for the record. A lot of people forget that every human being is created with what we call survival instinct. Every human being. It doesn't matter if you speak English or not. What happens is that when it gets to a point and you have needs, you want to meet your needs, and that is why you have things like armed robbery and all of those crimes committed. The people that are committing all of those crimes in the north have survival instincts the same way a man that has a job does. And immediately they are not able to meet their basic needs because they have not acquired the skills of surviving properly within a civilized environment. They will resort to crime. And the blame goes back to the people that have not allowed them to get education, that have not allowed them to get the skills needed to survive.
It boils down to the government. What are they doing? Are they proactive? That's what we're going to look. What steps are they taking to cope these menace? Because for me, it has become a business that people are now making money from it. So that's it. So I believe the government needs to do more, need to be more proactive in their intelligence gathering. When we were explaining those days, we used to have CIDs around. You see they're in the midst of people, you think they are agberos or whatever, but they are CIDs, they're doing their job. What's happening now? Intelligence gathering, the government is not doing that. These people are not visible, they're in the society. So if they are active, they were able to curb it.
Living in denial, I remember the first abduction, the Chibok girls, the government was in denial for like 2 weeks. They were ordinarily supposed to act. If they had acted before time, possibly would have averted and possibly intercepted them. But now some of those girls are yet to come back. About 100 and something are still in captivity and all of that. You don't know what has become of them, you know. And same thing is repeating itself. We've not been able to learn from history. And this government, to a large extent, plays the ostrich. Anytime when it comes to discussing real issues, they play the ostrich. We've not learned from our past.
The cause of the problem, of course, is best known by the government. They know way to end this thing. And, you know, everything has been politicized nowadays. So you as a common man on the street, you cannot even imagine. Where do we even start? Some of us are even scared of taking our children to school. While to them, it's a kind of celebration.
The experts also believe that lack of will on the part of the government to nip the problem in the bud has allowed it to fester.
When you look at the whole structural arrangement of the state of Nigeria, where justice are not being served for the affected, by the affected, and justice is for sale. If you go to all these small villages, police stations, or small courts in those areas where these things are happening, you will see a bigger man will go and even take a wife of a underprivileged man and go to court and win the case and own her, destroy this farmland, take it over, take this thing, and when they go to court, he can be able to buy. The police people, when you come to them until you pay, you cannot be able to do this thing. When you look at the chain of this kind of events, you will see that it is the ground, top, bottom, bottom, top approach. Still talking about the structural arrangement of the state. The way this country is designed now cannot work.
One of the things that continue to keep the North under is that a political figure will commit a crime, the traditional rulers will keep quiet, the state government will keep quiet, the local government will look the other way, knowing full well that the person who is allowing these crimes to fester is right there before their faces. Let me refer to the former Emir of Kano, former governor of Central Bank, Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi. He criticized the North that you continue to build mosques, but you are not building schools for people to attend. What did they do? Amongst many other things, they dethroned him and they banned him because he doesn't appreciate the culture of silence that will keep him quiet in the face of problems. I think around 2019 or early 2020, the governor of Jigawa State said they are going to build Jumat's mosque across all the local government areas of the state. Let me say there for the records, it is not a crime to follow religion or serve God, but anything done at the expense of the other without balance created will result in problems, and that is what the North is dealing with now.
From my own point of view, we were supposed to bring the security officers, which are supposed to take their normal duties, which is their major job, and they are being paid for. So we blame the government as well, also blame the security officers, because that is their duty, to carry out all those experts that they are going about picking people's children, adopting them, killing them, and all that.
Citizens were also not left out of the circle of blames.
The local communities is also to blame by trying to pamper crime for what they can eat. Instead of you to report criminality when you see it, you decided to partake in the game that eventually come and boomerang against you.
Some people are actually complicit or have colluded with the people committing these crimes. And the reason for that is not far-fetched. Let me say this very clearly. It cannot be argued that a country that cannot protect its own self may not be able to guarantee the protection of our citizens whose lives are at the mercy of these insurgents and these bandits and kidnappers. If Kaduna State, for instance, that has Division 1 of the nation's military, that has practically Division 1 of all the security forces in this country, cannot deal with the problems of kidnapping and banditry, particularly in Kajuru and other areas, tell me how the citizens in these localities are able to give information to government that would allow them do what is right in terms of their protection. Let us get serious with what we are talking about here. The people in these communities also have a life and they want to live. Don't forget that these are people that pay bandits to be able to harvest their crops. And don't also forget that the last kidnap they had at the Better School, they're asking for certain bags of rice. So we are talking about people whose protection is not even guaranteed by government that should protect them. And it is going to be a difficult situation for us to call them the co-criminals or those who are colluding because their lives are at the mercy of this bandit. So if, for instance, they have seen over time that there is superior firepower with government, so that government is able to deal with these issues, I can tell you for free, they will side with government and not give information or give their life to those criminal elements.
The last incident that took place in Cardona, this better by this school. How did they carry them? Because I believe they should come with bus, because adopting 200 and something students. It's not something you just carry at once. So they have to come with bus or whatever. So it all lies on both the community, both the government, and both the security agency. Everybody should be proactive. You should not leave everything for government. Likewise, the government should leave everything on the people. Those who are in the community, what are they doing? Did nobody see those people when they were coming? So why is it that nobody was able to pass the information, or is it that they are just playing pranks? So me myself too, it beats my imagination. I keep on wondering how you carry about 300 and something students. Where did they pass?
How persons will come to a community because that school is sited in a community. People will come and take a whole sum of 100 and something students away from the school where they pass. So I think even the government, everything boils down to the government. What are we even talking? The security agencies, they are still parts of the government. I think day to day should be blamed.
Those persons who are involved directly in the kidnapping and so on and so on, they know them. But at the end of the day, they will be out celebrating. They will be out in the hands in their pockets rejoicing. So at the end of the day, what happened? So in fact, the government, of course, they have their own role to play to stop this thing. We also, Nigerians, the citizens also have our own role to play. But what is there is that the government has the ledger, this thing. They have a say much more than we, the common men in the streets. You understand? Right from inception, had it been the government curtail everything to make sure that, they know what will happen again? Do you think that they will see come out? The answer is no.
The experts also gave suggestions to not only ensure that abductors are prosecuted, but also called on Nigerians to unite against a common enemy.
We have to devolve power and allow resources to get to the edges of the border lines of Nigeria. We have to make sure that each and every Nigerian citizen that is within this map is also a principal stakeholder in the Nigerian system, whereby there is participatory action, not just politically, but economically. In every street in Nigeria, no matter how deep a village is, you have a polling unit. But how many businesses do we have in those areas that engage people? So we always think around politics, not the means of livelihood of those communities. And that is where the problem is. And the structural arrangement is incentivizing the political office holders. Once you are in Abuja, sitting either in the National Assembly or or maybe the presidency, or the governor that has a government lodge in Abuja, or the chairman of the local government that has some arrangement in Abuja, then you are fine. And that is where the issue is. So we have to devolve power and distribute it. That is the only way we can absolve ourselves of blame game. And the blame can even be very clear. Because now the structure is so conduit and confusing and latent that you hardly can point as to who should do what. Even though you have a constitution, but so many things are revolving around the constitution, in and about the constitution, in a much confused way that you don't even know who to hold responsible for a crime. Except you hold this guy, he will say because he is this party or because he doesn't like my face. Why? Because the things are not granular enough, they are not detailed enough. Devolve this power. Allow security to be local as much as possible. Allow economic activity to get to local environment, and then be able to build a structure whereby everybody can participate in both means of livelihood in the community and the means of security in the community. Then we don't have problem.
Solution begins first by government getting sincere with operating a properly federated system. In the first place, when we talk about state policing, don't forget that security is Nigeria's #1 problem now as we speak. Security it is. How do we solve security problem? You cannot continue to operate a police system that is inefficient and ineffective because of its configuration. That is one. Government must understand that it operates a critical state as Nigeria, taking into cognizance its ethnic sentiments and divergences. It therefore means that in any position that the federal government intends to preside over, there must be the consciousness to take into account the divides of this country. So that simply means the leadership must repeatedly be somebody that can rally around every region of the country and not be seen as an ethnic leadership or an ethnic jingoist. If we're able to start from there, in the next 25 to 30 years, Nigeria can work for everybody.
They explained that security of the nation rests on the shoulders of every Nigerian, adding that the situation will change only when all and sundry takes responsibility.
That's it for today's episode. To watch this episode again, you can visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com. You could also read on there news on sustainable development and current affairs across Africa. Follow us on social media at TOSTV Network, at The Osasu Show, and at Osasu Igbinedion on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll see you same time, same place next week. Until then, sign up for the Osasu Show Symposium. It's officially 1 month from today, August 16th, 2021. It will be holding at the International Conference Center in Abuja. The theme this year is State of the Nation, the People's Constitution. Come and interact with your lawmakers, come and interact with those in the executive, in the judiciary arm of government, and see ways that we can all prepare solutions to the plethora of issues plaguing you and I. It's going to be the biggest and it's going to be the most impactful one so far. So don't miss your opportunity to participate. Visit our website, www.tostvnetwork.com, to find out how you can register to be a live participant. All right. Take very good care of yourself. Until next week, keep wearing your face mask, keep practicing social distancing, and keep safe. God bless you. As Africans, it became clear that we have no one to rely on but ourselves.
For the past 4 years, the Osasu Show Symposium has championed impactful conversations traversing the public and private sector. TOS Symposium in 2017 was themed The New Economy and Its Impact on Less Privileged Citizens.
If we want to address poverty, one critical element is infrastructure.
The president has also currently approved new railway lines that he has asked us to go and look for loans.
If you listen to the speakers, they talked about borrowing, credit, loan. It is our generation that would pay for that.
Unfortunately, we the leaders, myself inclusive, have failed this nation.
In 2018, the symposium was themed Nigeria Rising, It's Time, establishing social accountability between the electorate and leaders.
What we want in this country, let them do road. They have started. I can see Amechi there.
The first question is that they privatize. To who? To who? We're being told that the choice you have is to take the lesser of two evils. The common denominator in lesser of two evils is evil.
In 2019, the symposium was on the 21st century woman and a role in national development.
To go beyond what men are prepared to offer, the women must stand toe to toe and say, we have the capacity to make it happen for women.
We have been able to make the case that there is no way we can achieve any kind of development without the full and equal participation of women.
It's much more fundamental when you support a woman to get elected.
But we must ask ourselves, despite the enormity of the work they have done, how come we are still at 6.4% representation for women?
As a result of the global pandemic, the 2020 symposium was virtually held and focused on rethinking Africa in a bid to spur the continent's drive for economic growth in a globalized world with a paradigm shift perspective.
In the world in which we are, rethinking Africa means that we have to take a second look at Africa's possibilities in the world today.
It will start with political will.
In the democratic setting, that these people are elected, it is very, very critical that you elect the right person.
Africa will be great.
And now, we bring to you the 5th edition of the Osasu Show Symposium, themed State of the Nation, the People's Constitution. Date August 16, 2021. Time 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Venue, the International Conference Center, Abuja. Don't miss it.
To register, visit tossymposiumv.eventbrite.com. Follow at TOS TV Network on Instagram, Facebook, and other social media platforms.